Namaskaram. So, as some of you might already know, that Sadhguru recently went through brain bleeding and an emergency brain surgery, which doctor said that it is life threatening. So, he had been going through the extreme pain and brain bleeding for 4 weeks, but he carried out through all the activities like Mahashivratri, which is a very long event, all night event, and even many meetings and conclaves in Delhi. He continued, but when the situation got worsened after 4 weeks, so he had to get admitted and have his brain operated recently. So, a question which many people seem to be confused about, and even some of the Isha followers, that when Sadhguru is such a great yogi, he advises about physical health. He and his foundation teaches yoga, which propagates that how you can be well in your physical mental health. Then how could Sadhguru get such huge brain bleeding, and then why did he had to get surgery? Okay, so I wanted to clarify a few aspects of this, that why did how such thing can happen to Sadhguru. So, firstly, the path of spirituality, the meditations, uh, like the spirituality can like can be pursued through various paths. For example, path of bhakti yoga, path of karma yoga, path of gyan yoga, and then path of kriya yoga, path of hatha yoga. So, and mostly people use a combination of these things. Okay, so for example, in Isha also it is a combination of all these things, but still there is some major one major segment of this. Okay, one major path of this. For example, Ramakrishna Paramhans was a devotee of Kali, and his path was of bhakti yoga. uh, then so like path of Osho was primarily of that of Gyan Yoga. Path of Buddha was primarily that of Gyan Yoga. Okay, which is like more on the mental level, awareness level. Okay, so now all these paths, like definitely they take you towards being more aware, being conscious, and probably enlightenment. But your physical health is not always ensured in all these paths. So if you look back at history, uh, on one hand, you might have heard of some yogis who have lived for hundreds of years. On the other hand, you might look at a lot of yogis or enlightened beings who who had to face death before they got to old age. Ramakrishna Paramhans died of cancer. Vivekananda took samadhi at quite a decent young age. So I think Ramakrishna Paramhans was less than 60, Vivekananda was less than 50, Swami Vivekananda was less than 50, and even Paramhans Yogananda was less than 60. Okay. Osho claimed that like he was poisoned, but still Osho also had his death like around before 60. So like you can see, four of these popular beings, they never reached their old age. And if you look back at the history, then there are many more people who were enlightened beings, but they couldn't reach their old age. Because fundamentally, if your energies rise to a great intensity, then holding on to your body is difficult. The path of Hatha Yoga and Kriya Yoga combined has lot of tactics which helps you to hold your body and be in intense states of energy, but still holding on to body. So why? Like as Sadhguru has mentioned few times, so this is Sadhguru's uh, like uh, Sadhguru's like third enlightened lifetime, and he has done a lot of sadhana before in this lifetime, and also a lot of sadhana before. And he knows all the nooks and crooks of mechanics of the body, so that is why he has been able to hold on to his body for so long. There has been past instances where Sadhguru, when we say Pran Pratishtha, Sadhguru does a lot of consecrations. He has done 7 or 10 major consecrations. Like he expends a lot of his energy. When we say Pran Pratishtha, whose Pran it is? Fundamentally, it is Sadhguru's Pran, which he uses and consecrates at a certain point. So whether it is Dhyan Linga, Linga Bhairavi, or Yogeshwar Linga, Adi Yogi Alayam, and then Nag Pratishtha. there are lot of energy consecrations which he did, and he expends his own energy. Particularly for the Dhyan Linga, though it involved few other people as well, but still because his wife took Samadhi 1 year before Dhyan Linga consecration. So for the in last 1 year of the Dhyan consecration, it was Sadhguru who had to expend lot of energy and also did lot of energy work, which else Vijima, who was his wife and also an Isha meditator, would have done. So Sadhguru says that he became old in that 1 year by about 20 to 30 years, and you might not see this on the videos, but if you look at Sadhguru in person, and if you looked at 10 years back, he always looked like a 85 90-year-old person. So he is physically very active. Like recently he did 100 days 30,000 kilometer bike ride. He goes to Kailash, which is so above 15,000 feet every year. He treks a lot, he sleeps a lot less. He is very very physically active, but he's like very very physically active, but still holding on to his body, he has to do a lot of tricks. Okay, recently also he mentioned that he has a he has a copper ring or a copper kada in his leg, which helps him holding on to his body. He even takes support of lot of other probably brahmacharis or close isha meditators to keep his body intact. So Sadhguru says that he is an overdue life, and there have been many occurrences, particularly after Dhanliya consecration. So he had already prepared that he might die after during the consecration process. So he had written his will, okay, and he had assigned responsibilities that he might die. Okay, so he would take Mahasamadhi, his all energies would be expensed in consecration of Dhanlinga. But fortunately, with all the preparation, he survived. So I think he didn't speak for a few days after Halinga consecration. He was very, very weak. Okay, then people took care of him, and then he slowly revived and came to his normal work. So, like that has happened before, and many of Isha meditators know that Sadhguru holding on to his body is primarily because he wants to be with us and impart us his methods and teachings. That is why he is there. As such, he is a very long overdue life, and he shouldn't be here. He's already liberated, and he should leave his body. He should have left his body only because in this lifetime he had to do Dhyan Linga consecration work, and then when by the time he did Dhyan Linga, there were so many followers who were with him, and he wanted to have Dhyan Linga and Isha's acceptance in the global world. And now he see that there is a lot of things to be done. For example, soil projects, river projects, conscious planet movement, where he feels that the meditation has to reach 1 billion people. So because of all these reasons, he is holding on to his body. He has said this many times that he will just sits at a place and then he can keep sitting and he can take samadhi and he can die. So Sadhguru, though Sadhguru's methods provides physical well-being for all of us, but his energy, his intensity, and his way of being is in many dimensions, and he is already to that extent that he holding on to body is always a challenge for him. So that is why such things can happen. And then over adding to it, he doesn't take rest. Okay, even for a single day or a half a day, he is always involved in so much of activity. So even when his brain bleeding was detected, he attended the India Today conclave. If you see the video of India Today conclave, you will see that so logically, so in depth he spoke. You could never see that that person is so much pain, but he still did this. On Mahashivratri, I had a fever. I couldn't stay awake till 6 a.m. because I had traveled from somewhere, and then I also slept at 4:30 a.m. But he, with all his brain bleeding and so much pain in brain, he conducted the whole Mahashivratri event where he danced, where he was standing, and through whole night he conducted the Mahashivratri event, welcomed the vice president. So he is already expending, you can say, expensing his body a lot, and that takes toll on his body. Okay, and we as Isha meditators or followers and Sadhguru's followers, we want that he should take some rest in between so that he is able to hold on to his body as long as possible. But so Sadhguru has said that so yeah. So there are so now I think this is the first time in 40 years he has taken a break, forceful break, and he would have cancelled some events. That has happened for first time in 40 years. But hope he takes rest on regular intervals so that he can keep continuing with his body for as long as he can, and that will be helpful for people like us as well. So that is it. having said that, he is only able to retain his body, and his followers and brahmacharis and many other people who stay in Isha ashram, or even other people who stay outside in the world, they are able to be in intense states of energy and meditativeness, still being physically active in the world. So this, like, being in being very meditative and being physically active in what as a combination is working primarily because of his methods involving kriya yoga, hatha yoga, where the teachings are not such that you will lose out on your physical activity easily. Okay, so all the practices which they teach, they also help you have your bodily well-being as well as your spiritual well-being. So that is not ensured in all the paths. Okay, so if you're a path on a bhakti, or if you are pure path on gyan yoga or awareness, then your physical well-being might not be ensured. But in case of kriya yoga and hatha yoga, physical well-being is ensured to a large extent. Still things can happen, but it is ensured to a large extent, and that is why Sadhguru and his Isha Foundation people, they are much more physically active in the world, and they do lots of work because of the fundamentally the path being so that it helps both internally and externally. Yeah, so that is all I wanted to share. Thank you for watching the video. Namaskaram.